それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズだ。逃げろ。誰でも音できる。誰でもスキーを稼げる。ガバナンスまである。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。レバヤさんニュース開かれるに嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。いい霞をたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。
レバヤさんニュース。レバヤさんニュース。
GM fam, and big thanks to Arcus for that fantastic video update.
That was an amazing intro. That was the greatest intro I've ever seen.
I am wowed. I'm impressed.
I am like, that's what I was laughing. I was like, wow, that was amazing.
That was team member Arcus who did that. So if you enjoyed it, then if you're interested, we have our squid drop every month. Send him some extra squid. He's more than earned it. Today is January 23rd, 2026. It's the first day of the rest of our lives. And for your sake, I hope it's your best one yet. For my sake, I know it's going to be fantastic because we got the original all caps Capcast. I'm Curve Cap, your host, here with Cap Money, Benjamin, and Dave. They're going to talk about the big stable drop that's coming up, so super excited to get into that. First, take a minute and pay the bills. Check out the winner of last week's Squid Pass. As you know, we hold auctions every week. The auction is about to expire in about 30 minutes. Super competitive, so we'll check in on that throughout the show. But the winner of last week was Z-Pass. And I didn't know what Z-Pass was, but it's pretty cool. Basically, they've got this 320 million wallets they've scored, and you can find out how your wallet did. Top performers unlock exclusive yields. And yes, I did check it out myself, and to my surprise, it did not drain my wallet. Instead, it informed me that I was, in fact, in the top 25% of all wallets with a score of 761 out of 1,000. So that's exciting. I'm usually extremely left curve. That's how I got the name. But to find out that I was actually, in this case, right of curve, it was awesome. So scan the QR code, check out Z-Pass. And if you don't like Z-Pass for whatever reason, then head to leviathannews.auctions and steal the Squid Pass from them for next week. Dave, Benjamin, it's been a hot minute. How you two doing?
Good. New year, new crypto. I mean, it's very quiet markets, but Cap has been very busy.
Cap has been cooking.
I understand that. So we are about 3 days away. Not that I'm counting from the launch of what you were calling. What is this here? Let me make sure I name it properly. It's the okay. Go ahead and spoil it for me. What's the name of this? The big event that's happening in early next week?
Well, it's not early next week. We have the ICO happening in February 9th with Uniswap.
February 9th.
And the big thing is the stable drop, which is happening in February. Yeah, it's a secret when it's happening, but it's going to happen in Feb. And it's the very first time that a project decides not to airdrop their token. Instead, we're airdropping stablecoins. And so that's why we're calling it the stable drop.
We love stablecoins so much, we're giving them away.
Now, that's super exciting because stablecoins, of course, is the biggest narrative, the only one that's holding up despite all the other market carnage. So is that the reason that you chose to do that? Or what was the genesis of the stable drop?
Yeah, well, Cap has always been built around market incentives, and we assume that people act in their self-interest. That's how the protocol was built. And when we were observing how airdrop distributions were done in the past, especially recently, we noticed that not everybody that gets the airdrop is aligned with the long-term success of the protocol, but we still want to reward those early contributors, those early users to the protocol. They deserve that. They took the risk and went out there to use our product, to use our offering. So we thought the best of all worlds for both the protocol, early users, and token holders is to do the stable drop because it eliminates uncertainty. It eliminates uncertainty for those early users because they don't have to worry about do I need to sell this? They don't need to play any speculation games. And also for token holders, it's beneficial to them because it eliminates uncertainty because they don't have to worry about any airdrop, like the same game of chicken going on. And what's interesting about Cap is at TGE, 99% of tokens will be from the ICO, which is pretty. We haven't really seen something like that in a long time. Like this is much more reminiscent of Ethereum and other earlier projects. So I like to say that distribution is destiny, and we want to set up Cap and Cap token holders to success.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I really like that because I've seen so many projects where, like, immediately upon the airdrop, it's just everyone's racing to dump on each other, and there's not a ton of reason to just quickly dump a stablecoin. So this is going to be the official Cap Lab stablecoin that you're giving people, right?
Exactly. And
Rusty?
even if they dump it, they can dump as much as they want, and it won't change the price because they can redeem for USDC. But it gives them the opportunity to just realize their gains if they want to.
Got it, got it. And this is the CUSD, right? I want to make
Yeah,
sure
this
I'm
is
putting the nomenclature.
CUSD. Yeah, Cap USD, CUSD.
All I see is USD.
There you go.
All right. So, do you have rough numbers to outline, like, what does this look like? How many CUSD are you setting aside for it? Like, is this coming from your project's treasury? Like, walk me through this whole process like I'm dumb.
So it's a lot of stablecoins. I have to be honest. We can't say how much because the campaign, the season 1, the Frontier program, is still running, and so we can't really say how much we're gonna airdrop. What we can say is that a lot of those stablecoins will come from the ICO. So the idea of the ICO is that you have transfer of value from people that have bootstrapped the protocol to people that want to invest in the protocol. And so the ICO participants are sort of buying out the stable drop recipients, but it's not one-to-one. I mean, we're not going to use most of the funds of the ICO for the airdrop. And then we have lots of funds for future incentives because in general for CAP, we want to limit how much we use the token. We don't want to give it away like candy because then people are going to treat it like candy, right? We want to treat it with respect, and then hopefully that means the market would also treat it with respect.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially with all the kind of down tokenomics pressure we've seen for pretty much everything crypto. It makes no sense to now. The people who are buying the Cap token in this ICO, is there any lockup period for them, or are they also going to be rushing over themselves to sell?
Dave, you got this.
Yeah, no, there's no lockup. All tokens are unlocked at TGE, so you don't have to worry about like how long am I locked? Nope, all tokens unlocked at TGE.
And also, everybody has the same cost basis, which I think is very interesting. So you get a bunch of tokens at TGE, and everybody else that has the token bought the token at the same price. And so I think that is a very interesting dynamic. We haven't really seen that happen before. And also at the same time, we could have made another mistake, which was make the ICO price too high, right? Because even if everybody has the same price, if you TGE and we TGE at $2 billion, who's gonna bid the token, right? Who's gonna wanna come in and participate? It'll be complicated, and so we made the decision of capping, so people can capping the cap, right? You cannot
Cap the cap.
Yeah, you cannot bid above 250 mil val, and so we know that if we had no ceiling, it would go beyond that, but we wanted to make sure that we do things slowly. We don't want to go too fast because then we set ourselves up for failure.
It's so rare to see this startup that has the problem about avoiding too much growth as opposed to the opposite. So caps off to all of you on that one. This is the Homestead program is what I was going to be asking about, that is starting next week. So this one, why don't you walk me through this one? Because this timeline is starting January 29th. So that's sometime next week, 6 days from now, and runs for 6 months. This is on Pendle. This is some additional Frontier program points. Is this related to the CUSD drop that you're performing, or is this a separate initiative here?
It's separate. So we had the initial program, which was called Frontier, and now we're giving people stable coins for participating there. And there's two sides. There's folks that are, minting a stable coin with USD, and then on the other side we have folks on Eigenlayer and Symbiotic that are delegating their ETH, their Bitcoin, their gold, Japanese yen, whatever they're delegating, and they're also getting stable coins as part of Frontier. Now, after we've done this, airdrop, we're giving stable coins. What's next, right? What's the next round of incentives? And that's what Homestead is, right? So it's a whole new set of activities that our users can participate in order to get caps, which is our points. And at the end of the program, maybe you get something we can't say. It's the game. This is a points program, and it's part of it is ambiguity.
Yeah, it's like the arcade. You get the tickets, and then who knows what you can do with the tickets. But maybe as you're walking out, you get a stuffed animal or something. All right, so it looks pretty generous. 20x holding YT/CUSD, 10x for just holding CUSD, 5x for holding YT, STC/USD, or LP STC/USD. 0.5x lending stables to the cap markets, double cap rates for the first month, and
That's right, double the first month.
So that's February.
Yeah. I mean, if you scroll down a little bit there, we highlight the rates for the first month. It's double caps for the first month. Double caps. Yeah, and if you participated in Frontier, you know that we're not messing around, right? Like, we're doing this stable drop, so people know we treat our users well. So hopefully, if you had a good experience with Frontier, I'm sure you'll like Homestead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it makes perfect sense. So people are going to be flush with not the cap token, but cap dollar coins, and they're going to have a lot to do with it. So you got really good stuff coming out for the full first half of 2026.
Yeah, and then Mega ETH is launching soon, where we'll be announcing a whole another set of activities that you can perform in order to get caps, but then potentially get other sort of incentives. We can't announce that a lot because it's obviously up to Mega ETH to announce these things.
Of course. But yeah, so things are going very good. There's another thing that I wanted to ask you guys about as concerns your program, and this is that one of our favorite protocols, of course, here is Frax, and you guys just onboarded Frax as their part of the capped financial guarantee market. Can you explain a bit more about how this works? Because I'm super understudied on so much in crypto, and it's rather than reading through the docs or asking some AI to read it for me, I got the source right here. This makes me think of the peg keepers with Curve USD. Is it remotely analogous? Basically, how does this work as far as financial stabilization of the cap protocol?
Dave.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, so I'm not. Maybe by the end of this explanation, you can make the peg keeper call. But how cap works is it's a three-sided market. There's users, they mint their stablecoin. You have borrowers, these are the operators, institutions, and then you have delegators, and these delegators provide the security. They provide the deposit, so they basically vouch for the borrower to access the capital underlying the protocol from the users. And so in that delegator part of the market, you have different assets that are accepted as delegation assets. You have ETH, different types of ETH, different types of BTC. And now we've added our first USD stablecoin, which is Frax USD, SFrax USD. And so on top of the yield of SFrax USD, it's now being used as a delegation asset, and they'll be earning more yield for providing security in the cap system.
So does this mean that the borrowers have to exceed the interest rate that would be generated by SFrax USD in order to borrow?
No, because here what's happening is that you have borrowers, which are institutions, generating yield for a stablecoin. Because we can't do it, we let institutions do it for us, but we don't trust them. So we have them get insurance, and so these SFrax ETH guys, they're insuring the institutions, and so the institutions, they only need to make enough yield for the SFrax ETH holders or SFrax USD holders, enough to make them happy for the risk that they're taking by underwriting them. But Frax USD is not the same thing as USD, right? The opportunity cost, the market premium is very different, and so you only need to give them, let's say, a lower amount, maybe 3-4% on top of what they're already getting. But then XFrax USD guys are getting 7-8% for underwriting a blue chip financial institution like Susquehanna, like Flow Traders. I think it's a good deal.
Is there any Bushwick related analogies you could make to help me understand how this works?
Yes. Okay, so because isn't the most intuitive thing, so I thought of this analogy. Uh, and the closest thing I like to compare the whole cap system to is trying to get an apartment in New York, because it's a freaking nightmare to. It's just fucking hard. But how it work, how I like would set the comparison is, let's say like you work in crypto or something, and you're a contractor, so it's very hard for you to get an apartment. So you go to your parents, or you go to like somebody you trust and be like, hey, can you like put down the security deposit for me? And the specific apartment you go to, they require a full year security deposit, because they're afraid that you won't be able to pay the rent, and that you're going to like skip out on the rent, or like there's going to be a bear market or something because you work in crypto. So that's what your parents like, sure. And so let's say you have an apartment that's like $2,000 a month, and it's for a year. And so they put up a security deposit of $24,000. And so you all agree to it. And in this analogy, basically yourself as the tenant, you are the borrower. You are the one getting the deposit from your parents, and your parents are the delegator. You guys come to an agreement. The landlord, the person with the apartment, is the user, and the apartment itself is CUSD. And so that's why, like, I think a lot of people can think of that a lot simpler than just like financial terms, because everyone's like try to get an apartment, struggle to get an apartment with security deposits and all. But what financial guarantees are, they're just security deposits. That's like the easiest way to think of them. And
in this analogy, the parents' incentive is to get you out of your basement, right?
Yes, exactly. To get you out of your basement, to go to Myrtle Broadway, go explore the sights and sounds and smells of Bushwick.
Yeah, I think the last time I actually stayed in New York, I stayed in that like right where that screenshot was taken, so it resonated. Yeah. I spent like several years of my earlier career in New York, so like brings back old memories. All right, so OUSD is also in your ecosystem, but this is a different usage than the SFRAX USD. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So with this one, a lot of protocols and a lot of large pools of capital on chain have been depositing their reserves into CAP, into stake CUSD, because CAP has sustainable, consistent, real yield. And so we don't just have Origin and OUSD depositing. We have EtherFi from their neobank. We have Yuzu Finance, the Ouroboros fellas. We have Infinify. They're all, and this all happened after the whole Stream Finance debacle. And when everybody was looking like, oh, like where's there a safe, consistent place for yield on chain, they came to CAP.
Yeah, there's been a flight to safety for sure.
A flight to CAP.
After what happened last quarter, a lot of folks are very scared about yield options, because it seems everything's just too risky. And people keep losing their money to these hedge fund stable coins, to these wrappers. Everybody calls themselves a stable coin, but in the end, they end up being other things. And so there's been a flight of people trying to go for what is safe, and thankfully they've chosen CAP, and they see that we are the answer to all these risky stable coins.
Yeah, understandable. It has been like very bleak with all the hacks and all that, especially.
Yeah, so many hacks. Even this week, right? Or last week, there was another hack. It's just scary world out there.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you were talking about like what all happened in Q4 and everything, and you actually published this really good update, so it was like really helpful for me to be able to read through this and just see what all has been going on, right? So like I don't need to like kind of like read this verbatim because obviously the past is the past. We care about the future here. But you had this big stress test in October, got right through that. You basically like had all these benchmarks that you were trying to like hit, and you seem to have knocked all of them out of the park. Like anything in particular here stand out as something you want to brag about?
Yeah, I mean, if you scroll up a little bit towards where the graphs are at, that first one, yeah. I mean, you see that, and that's battle scars, you think you're growing up only, and then suddenly the market turns and you have a lot of redemptions. But we were able to work hard and not only get to all-time highs, but then surpass them. And so that's why you see in that graph that we didn't give up. And if you look at a lot of stablecoin protocols, a lot of yield for the dollar protocols, they were down only last quarter, right? Because people were getting risk off. They were just holding dollars. They didn't want to deposit into any protocols. But that didn't happen with us. And even if you look at the other graph with Morpho, they had this issue, right? Because Stream was the biggest problem was at Morpho, right? And a lot of curators ended up defaulting and having bad debt. And we led the recovery of Morpho's USD growth. And so most of the new borrows that happened since that debacle have been with Cap. And so that shows that users are comfortable with Cap, but also the lenders. So these curators are also comfortable with Cap.
Yeah, very cool to see. Like, I mean, that like is like the like growth chart that everyone's looking for. So I don't know who your head of growth is, but he sounds like he's as brilliant as he is
Yeah,
handsome.
I don't know who it might be.
No.
No, like seriously, like kudos to you guys, like outstanding work. I know when you've talked about this previously, you talked about like all your vision for what it could be, and like it's like super exciting to see you execute on it. Let me see. There was one other thing, at least that popped to mind that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, this is just on the subject of like, you know, as I mentioned, like there's been way too many hacks here in DeFi. Now you guys have like several bug bounty programs and several audits. Like, could you just talk a bit about like the kind of audits that you've undergone and even just that whole process?
Yeah, I mean,
The bug
there are
bounties.
very, very few protocols in crypto that have devs with as much experience as we do, because there's not that many like DeFi developers, like DeFi smart contract developers that have coded code that's held billions of dollars for multiple years. We have four of them. So four of these people that have a lot of experience are with us. They come from Beefy Finance, arguably the most used yield protocol in crypto that has never had any security incidents. And they're the guys that built Cap. And now when building Cap, you know, they bring all that experience. And so they're doing a ton of audits, right? We've done, you know, more than 7 audits on our code base. We haven't found any bugs in the latest ones. And on top of that, every quarter we're doing a fresh audit on the whole code. And so we're, you know, good paranoid builders that focus a lot on security.
Absolutely. So if anyone is interested, by the way, in claiming this up to 1 million in rewards bug bounty, and I'm sure the terms of that is just based on severity, you can get there by going to Cap Labs Dev on GitHub to look through their code base here. So that is on screen here. You can see all their contracts, audits they have a link to. You know, check it out. And if you want to do your part to help secure Ethereum or even just learn about smart contracts, you can go ahead and check that out.
And I'd also like to add that on top of all the audits that we've done and the quarterly audits that we're going to do, we've actually integrated some real-time monitoring tools. We integrated Octane last quarter. We integrated Hypernative last quarter. So with these different tools, every single push is being monitored and every single action is being monitored. So we're basically being like, we're watching anything that happens 24/7 around the clock. As Ben said, we take security to the highest priority. We have the devs, we have the experience. We've been in DeFi for a while, so we don't mess around with security. And also, one more thing. Last week, we actually integrated OpenCover, the Nexus Mutual tool. Yeah. And so let's say, you know, we do all this, but you as a user, you should be able to opt into protection the same way you opt into anything else in crypto. And so literally in our UI, and there's a box in one click, you can insure yourself for 30 to 180 days against basically the cap contracts, Pendle markets, and DPEG risk. And that's all available on the cap UI. So not only are we doing our part, but as a user, if you want to take even more precaution, you can just click that box with our OpenCover friends as well. So shout out OpenCover.
Excellent, excellent. On the subject of security tooling, I'm curious about your experience. Like, what have you found that you really liked, and what have you found that like the industry is kind of lacking on the whole security front?
Like out of my personal use.
Yeah,
Probably
I
for
mean,
the
just
devs,
point
right?
of,
Smart
for the
contracts.
devs. Oh, yeah, for the devs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more. Ben, what do you think? You talk to the devs more about this than me.
Yeah. Well, we're all very paranoid, right? Because we've seen every hack. I mean, we've all been in DeFi for a while. So anything that could possibly go wrong, like the rounding errors, like the reentrancy attacks, everything, we sort of like know how it goes, and that's why you know we've adopted all these kind of metrics or all these sort of protocols to make sure that we're safe. The thing I like the most at the moment is Hypernative, because these guys track every single transaction that's coming into our protocol, and they can see if it's going to be a hack or not. And if it's going to be a hack, they can pause the protocol. So Dave can be sleeping, I can be sleeping, but Hypernative is not, and they're constantly watching these transactions, which I think is amazing. And also, we have that pause button. So if anything's happening, we can just pause the entire protocol, which I think is a very neat feature that the devs put in there.
Yeah, and I also want to add here that, if you want to grow to these net new users in these new lands, they're not as experimental as the early DeFi users. They're not going to be willing to take the same risk. They're going to be much more practical minded and thinking about all these different things. And so we have to build for these new users. And so having these tools, whether it's, open cover, whether it's Hypernative, Octane, and whether it's, the standard practices we do in DeFi with our audits, it's very important to be doing all of this to make so that the net new users, the institutions coming into DeFi and coming on chain and coming into crypto are protected and safe.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. So just quickly checking in, just we're about 3 minutes away from the close of the auction, by the way, for anyone who's keeping track. The current bid is just 0.0174 ETH to get the Squid Pass for next week. A lot of bidding action, 4 different bidders. So we'll see what goes on there. But 2 minutes left. We'll keep you posted on that. All right, good stuff. Now, as far as like the protocol goes, I have this open in a window here. Let's see if I can find that so people can take a look. I saw that like the interest rate for the past few like week or so has been around 6%. So good stuff there. Anything that you want to share or highlight about the actual like protocol itself while we got people here? Some watching. If you're listening, it probably won't be so exciting, but you get to hear the dulcet sounds of Benjamin's voice talk you through it.
There you go. I mean, it's a good yield if you think about it. This is fully insured, right? This is not like the other yield-bearing stablecoins where a team is taking your money and they're doing something with it to generate yield. And if they mess up, you lose money. This is not like this, right? At Cap, we rely fully on the smart contracts, and every activity is insured. So 6%, I think, is wonderful for what we're doing here. I don't know, anything you want to highlight there, Dave?
Yeah, so I like to think of Cap as pulling the Uno reverse call on finance and on DeFi and in TradFi. And so previously, how TradFi RWAs were thought of are protocols wrapping themselves off chain, trying to get into the world of TradFi that way. But there's a lot of friction in that world. There's a lot there's a lot of processes because it's TradFi. We pulled the Uno reverse card. So instead of us going off chain, no, it's the institutions coming on chain and accessing our pools of capital, accessing our credit engine and using us because we offer a better interest rate. We offer a better edge. We offer just a better offering overall. And so you actually have TradFi institutions actively borrowing and using our protocols like Susquehanna, like Flow Traders, like Flowdesk. They're all using us right now as we speak. And I think that speaks volumes. And this is just the beginning. So Cap, the Uno reverse card on finance.
We gotta get these like little Uno reverse cards to give out at the
conference. I'm telling you, I've been telling you at ETH Denver, we gotta get the Uno reverse cards.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, just a month away, so I'm sure you have enough time to get that printed. Because I know Bushwick has some fine printing shops.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, sir.
Very good stuff. So as people have been in contact with these institutions, I'm pretty sure last time we talked about it, we talked about this phenomenon of, the institutions are starting to come, but now they're like here. And probably no one has had more conversations with them than the two of you. So what has been your observations now that the institutions are in fact coming on chain? Like this is everything everyone in crypto ever dreamed of, and now the timeline is super bearish. So what's the dichotomy there?
Well, it's I think a lot of firsts for us. As Dave said, we've had institutions be in crypto before, and by that is people adding their assets as collateral or people using their infrastructure. But with Cap, you have these institutions using Cap, like actually using Cap in their regular capital market strategies, in their regular back end infrastructure, which I think is fantastic. And so the likes of the Susquehanna, for example, they're almost $1 trillion in AUM, right? They're not just your crypto market maker. You have folks like Flow Traders, publicly traded company in Europe, and they're all using Cap on chain. And they don't borrow from other protocols. Like there's this like myth that these institutions are already using other lending markets. They're already using stablecoins. The answer is that they are not. And so very excited to be pioneering in that and being like the first that are getting this sort of usage um, from these sort of institutions.
And what is your kind of take on the overall like stablecoin market landscape? Like if you look at the kind of DeFi Llama charts of it, it was straight up, and then kind of major bear market. And then for the past couple of years, it's been straight up. But since like late 2025 to now, it's kind of been fairly stable.
Stable,
no
you
one can
say?
predict the future. Stable, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one can predict the future. But what are you like thinking or imagining, or like what trends are you seeing in terms of like stable coins on chain here?
Yeah, so how I like to think of stablecoins, my framework for them is you have stablecoins focused on distribution and stablecoins focused on infrastructure. Most stablecoins, issuers, payment stablecoins as defined by the Genius Act, those are distribution stablecoins, and they're trying to take advantage of a network effect to grow. And there isn't really much different in those offerings. So those are usually just a race to zero. So you can only grow so much, and already Tether, Circle have dominated that category. But then you have infrastructure stablecoins, these yield-bearing stablecoins that are a layer on top of these payment stablecoins, and that's where the growth is going to happen. And CAP is uniquely positioned in that area because in the way that we've innovated, in the way that we built our protocol, because this three-sided marketplace that we built has never been built before on chain, and so we're in a very unique position to scale all these payment stablecoins that are trying to grow much, much higher than you see that chart now. Oh.
Mike, that you've been very successful at it since your launch. So since you launched around August, it's also yet again showing that hockey stick upward growth, minus that little November incident that we already talked about. So it seems like you're doing a fantastic job there.
Thank you. It's all about how you overcome adversity, Curve Cap.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Now, we looked earlier. Your growth rate is around like 6%. There's been a lot of talk about like interest rates might be getting cut. Some over the next few years, we might get down to like that zero interest rate environment, which it might be like that's when I joined DeFi, is back when interest rates were 0%, and you had to go to DeFi to get anything like yields. Like what?
So you're saying I can actually buy a house in the future? I'm just kidding.
No, still we're cooked.
No.
We're cooked. Dave.
We're so cooked. Yeah.
Forget about buying a house.
No.
But you might be able to move back into your parents' basement. Who knows? No, like the 0% interest rates, like if that does happen, do you think that's going to unlock like another like DeFi boom, or do you think that DeFi interest rates are going to like also plummet around the same time just because the market like is more mature this time?
We'll just have to get more creative, I think, about how we source yield. Right now, the way a lot of crypto works is it's either over collateralized lending, it's people betting on Bitcoin, right? Like open interest, and that's about it, right? Like those are the two things. And so if we want to produce yield at scale in a zero interest rate environment, we're gonna have to get a little creative. And so, but yeah, I think in general it'll be good. A lot of people will come on chain. That's what happened last time, in any case.
And CAP has gotten creative. I like to say that CAP is the first case of reputation-based lending on Ethereum. Reputation-based lending was written about by Vitalik late last year in his Low Risk DeFi article. And he talks about uncollateralized reputation-based lending. CAP is that because in the eyes of these operators, institutions, borrowers, they received an uncollateralized loan. But in the eyes of the protocol, in the eyes of CAP, it's fully collateralized because you have delegators vouching. You have delegators trusting the reputation of the borrowers and operators that they're going to come back and make and be good on their bargain. So just want to put that
I mean,
out
it's all loans at the end of the day, right?
It's all loans.
If you wanna allocate capital to other people to generate yield for you, and they're holding your funds, it's a loan. Whether or not you're getting paid enough for it, whether or not you're calling it that, it's essentially a loan, and so that's how we treat things. Probably if the interest rates are zero, I mean, definitely if the interest rates are zero, we're gonna be giving less yield, but then comparatively, it'll be much better, right? Like you want to be 3-4x the T-bill rate is pretty nice.
It's credit all the way down.
Well, I'm very encouraged by like when I see 6%, like I'm like, okay, I'd actually put my money there. When I see like the 80%, 90%, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're not
No,
like
we're
in that
done with
level.
those days.
Well, it could be 80%, but if not enough people were staking in our protocol, the APR will be super high, right? The fact that the APR is that low means that people think we're safe, right? If it was
Exactly.
7%, people would deposit more funds. If it was,
Exactly.
2%, people would remove funds. And so my hope is that we can continually lower that APR a little bit more so that, we're only marginally above US Treasuries rate, because that will signal that the premium that people place on our protocol is lower.
Exactly. That's why Aave is never gonna like, be
Yeah,
gangbusters. It's
Aave
because
can
it's so
barely beat the
trusted.
T-bill rate, right? Because like a lot of people think they're safe, right? And so they just dump money in there. They just
Exactly.
use Aave. It's just
Exactly.
too good. It's too good of a marketing thing, I guess.
Very good stuff. So like zooming out to more like the broader picture, unless there's anything else about Cap that we wanted to talk about that I haven't got a chance to ask.
Not from my side.
Nope.
Uh,
Cap.app/swap. That's if you want to get in on the game.
cap.app/swap if you want to get in
Yes.
on the game. All right. So like just like because obviously you talk to a lot of people around both TradFi and DeFi. I'm curious, like, what are some of the broader trends that you have been picking up and seeing playing out in late 2025 and into 2026 here?
Well, everybody's coming on chain, right? So you have Klarna, you have Stripe, you have everybody. Tempo's is going to launch right this year. So everybody sees that on-chain markets are the way to go. The SEC is saying that all markets are going to be on-chain in the next 2 years, and so it's an opportunity but a challenge, right? Because all these institutions that are coming on chain, they don't necessarily have to use their infra. If they think that what we've built is not good, they're not going to use it. They're just going to build their own thing. I think our challenge as an industry is, can we get all these institutions to play ball, to exist in this open finance and not build walled gardens? And it's not going to just be a hand wavy, hey, this is decentralized, you should use it because of the values. They don't care about that at all, right? It's going to be open markets are better than walled gardens. And if they're actually better, then they're going to use them. And it's up to us, because if it's not us, right here, who else is going to make it happen, right? We are the builders in DeFi.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot of similar sentiments to Ben. The institutions are here. You have Larry Fink at Davos talking about everything's gonna be tokenized. Like where the future of tokenization, like that's where the future's going, is tokenization of everything. Where that tokenization happens, we'll see. I hope it happens on Ethereum and in our open world that we've built. But we'll see about that. And I think like another trend I've seen is like a lot. I feel like there's a lot of new blood coming in, but we might not necessarily see the new blood because they're not in like the same places that crypto natives hang out. They're in their TradFi, their institutions, they're looking at things differently, they're using things differently. And so while it may seem to a lot of crypto natives that things are bleak or slowing down, actually things are really ramping up, both institutionally, like how much they're using the chain, the frameworks, the infrastructure is being built. It's technically built. The regulatory infrastructure is being laid out. You have the Genius Act. You have the Clarity Act that's very close to passing. We'll see what happens there. You have the SEC issuing very friendly guidance, CFTC. All this stuff is going to get figured out. And when it does get figured out, that's when it's off to the races. I think on that adoption, the bell curve of adoption, there's like innovators, early adopters, late adopters, laggards. We're somewhere in like the early adopter phase, and like there's like a chasm. There's a chasm that like goes from the experimenters, the innovators, to okay, now this is a thing that majority of people are using, and they might not even realize it. Where like I would say finance is at that chasm and it's about to break through that chasm. And like once it does, it's off to the races, and then everything else, all the industries will follow.
Yeah, I think there's two big differences when we're talking about institutions and traditional finance coming on chain and being here versus the last cycle. One is they have real money to bring, unlike the kind of people who are playing around last time. And second, they're not trading meme coins, right? Like they're actually investing in serious infrastructure and like
They're
actual
using
financial products,
serious,
right?
they're using serious infrastructure. Yeah, and it's just better. It's just better. Honestly, it cuts it cuts so much of the friction. It cuts so much of the errors that are made because of human input. Smart contracts just automate everything. It's just cleaner. It's smoother. And this is why DeFi has gotten to where it is today, even through all the trials and tribulations, and will continue to grow and gain adoption. How that adoption comes about, we'll see. But I think we all know where it's going to go, and we all know what an ideal future looks like.
So any of the degens who are around for previous cycles and are in fact still early and want to like capitalize on being here early, like where should they be looking? Should they just be like buying
Pendle.
stock?
Pendle, straight up Pendle.
Pendle
Yeah.
is like, look, if you're a boomer and you want to buy tokens on like Binance or OKX, you can do that. And I think there's still a lot of alpha to be won, but it's a crazy world out there, right? And you can lose a lot of money speculating because all coins are mostly bleeding. I think Pendle is one of the few remaining sources of generational wealth. Like if you want to really go, like if you're like very at the bottom and you're just starting out and you want to get your 20 to 100x, I can't see any other place but Pendle. And I don't have Pendle tokens. I have no reason to show them. But I think that YTs are, if you can manage it, right, it's high risk, but YTs are by far the best way of getting money in crypto today.
Yeah, well, this is where I like hearing about just candid conversation from people who understand this space. Because I saw that Pendle had a really big tokenomics, or not tokenomics, but like governance revamp.
Yeah,
do you know much about
changed.
that?
I haven't looked too much into it. I know they changed from a VE to S.
Right.
I don't. Yeah,
But that's their token, right? That's like
Yeah.
how they're managing their token, because generally, I mean, in crypto, this happens all the time, right? You can have a very successful product, but that doesn't mean the token will do well. And like if I'm not gonna name names because then I'll get in trouble. But anyways, that it happens, then we kind of agree that it happens. But then in Pendle, they have this amazing product with the YTs and Boros, right? It's the other one, which is like you can bet on the betting, which is kind of crazy. But a lot of good opportunities there. It's a wonderful team.
Yeah, huge fan of the team. They've been grinding in DeFi for so long. I mean, they started in 2021, and it took years for them to really figure out their PMF with the points. And when they did, it was just off to the races with them. So, I expect them to keep building,
Oh,
innovating,
nice.
pushing the
Yeah,
boundaries.
I hadn't looked so much into the S Pendle thing, but it
Yeah.
looks to be that it's like a lower withdrawal. That's pretty good.
Yeah, this was oxpmm.eth submitting the story to Leviathan News. So thank you for earning squid and doing so. That was talking. Pendle has overhauled Pendle by replacing the 2-year locked VE Pendle with liquid staking, S Pendle 14-day withdrawal, routing up to 80% of protocol revenue to Pendle buybacks, and S Pendle distributions contingent on PPP voting or DeFi usage, cutting emissions 30% via algorithmic pool allocation, granting existing VE Pendle holders up to 4x virtual S Pendle boosts that decay over 2 years, and preserving LP boosts only for current pools while removing them for the new ones. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I know a lot of people are not fans of the buybacks. I don't know if you guys have opinions on that.
Buybacks are best. I mean, just look at TradFi. What do you want, dividends or buybacks? It's time and time again. If you can do something with the money that your holders can't do, then don't do anything, right? But if you're not using the money enough, right, then just buy back the token or buy back the stock, right? That's what people do in TradFi. I think the issue though with crypto tokens is that they have too much float out there, and the buybacks are not enough to support these crazy valuations. Because let's face it, all these tokens are overvalued if we're looking at it in a traditional sense. And so if you want to maintain those valuations, you just have to manage your float, not get that many tokens out there. And then buybacks matter because then you're a marginal buyer, and then you can support virtually any valuation, right? If you're your only buyer. But a lot of tokens are beyond that point because they're all, let's say, distributed, or maybe there's just too many distributions, and so now they can't control their markets.
Very good perspective. Does Cap do buybacks?
Cap will do the buybacks opportunistically. We're not going to top last, right? But we are going to opportunistically buy the token back with fees generated from the protocol. But as a fundamental first step, we're just not gonna distribute that many tokens, and the people that do get our token are gonna buy it. And so, because everybody has a cost basis, we anticipate that will set a better floor. Whereas with a lot of these other tokens, you're giving them away like candy, and there's no cost basis, so people just sell, and you could go to zero.
So I'm curious what you make of the news that the New York Stock Exchange announced that they are tokenizing trading, or rather, like they're going to continue their old school like markets open, markets closed trading, but they're also going to be launching a parallel kind of digital on-chain entirely trading. You can only fund it using stable coins, not have no like wire transfer. Look, you're in the heart of New York. Like, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I think that this was inevitable. Just seeing like where trends are, like 24/7 finance. I mean, we've seen this is a regular thing in crypto, and it just takes a while for traditional markets to catch up. So I see it as inevitable. I wonder what this means for like a lot of these tokenized stocks that are coming out. But we'll see what happens there. But I think this is it's cool. I'm happy to like see this stuff. I think it's cool that you can only fund it with stablecoins. And that just shows how much more ubiquitous stablecoins are getting in our daily lives. And not only the New York Stock Exchange, but interactive brokers, they're accepting stablecoins now as well to fund the accounts. And so like this is actually proving my point before that it's finance that's first crossing the chasm to hockey stick growth in the early adopters. We're seeing it in its stablecoins at the tip of the spear of that. So I think that's pretty interesting and pretty bullish stablecoins.
Yeah. On the regulatory front, do you think that there's enough institutions that have crossed this chasm, so to speak, that we're not going to see this genie put back in the bottle with if an administration came in that was more hostile towards cryptocurrency? Like, do you think that's just done for? Like, it's not going to be a campaign issue?
I think with stablecoins, we're good. I mean, you still have like the banks kicking and screaming as we see with the yield. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think stablecoins have been accepted into the regulatory nexus, into the status quo. I think we're fine there. As for like the rest of crypto, I think that's dependent on the Clarity Act passing. It's dependent on the market structure bill. And so that remains unclear. And once laws are passed, they're passed. I mean, you can like make adjustments and change the laws.
I don't know about that, Dave. I disagree.
You disagree? Oh, okay. Because
no, but go ahead.
I view it as like it's so hard to pass a bill. It takes so much. It's friction and there's compromise. It's politics, and so if it takes a while it takes a lot of energy for it to pass. So for you to like fully, basically go flip the script, I think it takes a lot of effort. But if the bills don't pass and an unfriendly administration does get elected, then I could see some issues and problems come about. But Ben, I would be curious to hear you because I know you're a Georgetown.
Well, I mean, like look at Trump, right? In one administration, within a couple of months, we had a bill, and we had 100K Bitcoin, right? So I think things can change completely out of nowhere. I think right now a lot of startups think they can get away with anything. A lot of people are doing ICOs without KYC. I mean, it's really the Wild West, and all because of a new administration. I think that the only way that, and I don't think that we've passed the chasm of, okay, we have enough adoption, so we can't go back. I think we need to see more mass adoption of these kind of products. Like, yes, Venmo has a crypto option. Yes, PayPal has a stable coin. But until all Venmo transactions are on chain, until all of PayPal is on chain, then it's not going to be that hard to flip it back because it's just a feature. It's not like the fundamental infrastructure of those companies. I think we need like fundamental change.
Yeah, what we need is PayPal to convert every single dollar on PayPal's platform into PYUSD, which would be great for the business. Would be great for PYUSD.
If they do that, then I can say, okay, yeah, we it's too late to go back because then the switching costs are too great, and so then any lawmakers that try to switch things back will get a lot of pushback. But today, still not that much. Like my grandma still uses Zelle, so I think we have a lot to do.
Yeah, I'll harp on that point of like tide shifting. 2 years ago we thought like, oh, it's it's tough to be in America working in crypto. And then it was a complete 180 once Trump got elected, and it can easily turn into 180 again. Like you never know where these things are going to
Yeah.
go. And
We
so
should also probably stop tying ourselves too much to one political ideology or one side of the spectrum,
yeah,
because then you're just gonna make enemies. And then
yeah,
when things
exactly.
go back,
We don't
even if
want
the
to.
other side of the aisle likes crypto, they're going to make everything illegal just out of spite.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
I
this
think
is a neutral technology. And so you don't want to align yourself with one side too much and then become a polarizing wedge because you're just going to be used as a tool and as fodder for the other side to attack. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen. So we should just try to be as neutral as possible.
well, fortunately, one thing all politicians can agree on is they like money. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
as well. I will say that one like bearish thing I noticed was about a month or two ago. I went to an alumni meetup, and these are MIT alums, so they're not dumb, and like they're very like very like set in their career. And I thought like this is the first time I went to like a non-crypto meetup in years, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to talk with these people about stable coins because surely they've read the news about stable coins and all these like stable coin adoption happening, and nope. They had barely
No.
even heard of stablecoins. It was like
That's crazy
kind
because
of
it's even
shocking to me.
MIT guys, so it's like out of the population, they're people that probably are most in tune.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
do you think they should hear about it? Because like at the end of the day, do you just want them to use the underlying technology? So maybe it could be the case of the internet and like there's all these underlying protocols of
exactly.
the internet, but we don't talk about it. So it could be that case as well, where they're just using the underlying tech without knowing that it's actually stablecoins.
No, I was having to explain to them like why the stablecoin is like a real thing, why it's like useful for like small businesses to help with settlements and all. And they thought I was just a degenerate gambler, which is not too far from the truth.
Fair.
Yeah.
Man, it happens, man. It
Well,
happens. That's
yeah,
why
it's
we're in like a little microcosm. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like I think there's this idea that everything has been done, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us.
an education,
It's
an
a
awareness. Yeah.
Not just building in
yeah,
general and adoption. Like we're super small. We need to get bigger.
we do,
That's Cap.
and I think that I know how to do it exactly. Cap Labs is going to be the
The
horseman.
only way,
taking us
guys,
into the-
Cap is gonna restart the
That's
bull
Cap.
market. Cap is gonna get you a new car. I'm kidding.
Uncapped. Uncapped potential.
yes.
Uncapped potential with Cap.
Uncapped potential. Nice. Jenlin, we're closing in the top of the hour here, so I know that you're like all super busy saving the world. So I'll give you a last chance if there's anything you want to plug or like mention. Where should people find you? Things like that.
Yeah, you can go to our website cap.app or follow us on Cap Money on Twitter and check out our Homestead program. If you missed the world's first ever stablecoin airdrop, you might have another chance if you join the second program. So Homestead program, check it out.
January 29th, Homestead. All I see is USD.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I know that you're like having to do the circuit. Really appreciate you stopping by and taking some time to share it with our audience. Squid, some good news. The auction has settled. So congratulations to, who was it? I had that up here just a second ago. Looks like lapp.eth. We look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing with your shiny new squid pass for the upcoming week. For all the other upcoming squids, it's the weekend. We hope you get outside. Don't touch grass because it'll be too cold for most of you.